Hey, thanks for stopping by my neck of the woods. I'm the gig geezer in Wood Lane, and when I'm out there driving, I'm out there to make some money. I want to help you maximize your gig hustle. In a previous Gig Geezer installment, I did a comparison of Shipt and Instacart. And in that installment, I came to the conclusion that at best, Shipt remained a gig economy income option. What you'll see in this installment of the Gig Geezer are real-time thoughts, comparisons, and reactions to this latest Shipt experience.
I'm going to try it again with Shipt today. And the reason why I'm trying it right now is because I'm at the end of my planned time that I'm out. I started between 11:45 and noon, and it's between 2:45 and 3 o'clock now. So that means if I complete this the way I should be done at about 3:30, which means that I put in 3.5 hours, and we'll see what the total amount is for this planned shift. Based on my numbers right now, I am at about 78 and change, possibly 79. This Shipt is paying a minimum between $11 and $13. It's going to a public, and so hopefully that means that this customer will be tipping. I also see, at least in the neighborhood that the person is going, there is that potential. I'm starting this particular session with a bit of a chip on the shoulder because when I checked out the ratings this morning, I had a 3.0 after 2 deliveries. Well, going into it, within the last 2 weeks, my rating is 5.0. So that means the people that I delivered to previously on a Saturday, they gave me a good rating. It's the person who didn't tip on that very first delivery trashed me with a 1-star rating. I mean, that's how fickle these ratings are in the gig economy, much of it is out of the driver's control. So all that in that little diatribe or rant, if you want to say, we are heading over to this public and try to complete this order, shopping and all, and delivering by about 3:30. Another reason why I chose public as the reason for the first one is that I'm very much familiar with the store. By and large, most public locations, they're well stocked. This location is one of those. It's not as close to the universities or to the colleges where the students ransack and ravage the places. There are 2 locations like that near the immediate downtown area. Also, because it's a public, I'll just put it like this. Again, there's a greater potential on this order of a tip. Now, as a correction, I went back in and did the math, and so I'm at 77.27 for this particular Saturday early shift. All right, we are leaving public later than anticipated. I would say probably a good 15 minutes behind schedule. That is because the Shipt App does not help you. I want to try to be nice about this. I actually recorded a clip, and then I decided, well, let me get in the vehicle and try to calm down and talk a little more with a little more articulation and intelligence and coherence.
The items that I was having difficulty finding were these freeze-dried crunchies that I thought were in the frozen section. Now, the reason why I thought it was in the frozen section was based on the packaging, because I'd seen some other items, some other off-brand or unusual items that had been in Publix's frozen section. But as I found out, it was actually in the produce section in one of the below the open produce displays on one of their little racks. The other item that I had to seek help for was an item called Perfect Bar Dark Chocolate Peanut Butter Bar. Now, that was an interesting one because I went to the same person 3 times before we both came to the conclusion where this item was found. In fact, what he had to do was refer to his schematic app that he carries with him and it said, according to this, it should be on the far wall, but with the yogurts and the cream cheeses and those type of items. Now, here's where I would make the comparison with Instacart.
Shipt, based on what I can tell, it gives you the categories of items, but then it's up to you to find them. Well, that places a lot of onus on you, the shopper. And that's not good, because then if you get trashed, I've yet to contact Shipt support for this very thing, but I get the impression that, as with most other apps, and I'm saying this again, I'm getting the impression that you are on your own. I was asked at this register, as what public normally do. They'll ask, did you find everything okay? And I said, no. He says, what was it you weren't able to find? I said, there was a lot of things. Well, that says that this location was out of a lot of items. And so on the Shipt app, that doesn't help the shopper, because there were only specific items, at least according to the app, that the person wanted to be contacted about. The rest, well, I guess you can call an audible and substitute, but with Shipt, I don't know, and so I'm not going to take that chance on this app. I already got trashed by one person. I don't need to be getting trashed by a second person, and I still may be trashed for all I know. The fact is that there were a number of items that were not selected, and so I don't know how does that affect your tip. I know that with Instacart it does affect your tip. So let's say if it was a $20 tip, that tip probably dwindled to 15 easily. But just initial impressions, Shipt doesn't cut it with me. I ran into another person who was doing a Shipt order, and he flatly said, that's why I do Instacart as well. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, man. That's why, thank goodness for options, because if Shipt was the only option, not good at all. But then you have folk who swear by Shipt, and I'm not mad at you, but from what I can tell, for someone who works a lot of apps, Shipt is not user friendly. I will say that the scanning mechanism it works maybe half of the time. It doesn't matter if it's a regular item, a boxed item, or if it's produce that asks for you to scan the produce like you would at Costco on an Instacart order. Well, not produce. Yeah, some certain items you can, or even Sam's, certain items you can scan, but you have the option of just simply taking a picture. I mentioned this before, so for me to experience it again, it's no longer an aberration. This is something that is with the app. All right, so I peered into the app, and it says that I earned a minimum of $11.35. Remember, the first one was $9.14. And that was for 35 items. I know with Instacart, if I see 35 items, that order is going to pay for a single person, for a single order. That one's going to pay, if I select it, it's going to pay at least somewhere in the $25 range or better. So I feel a little exploited already, and that's not a good feeling, not at all. So if you're out there saying that, well, why did you accept it or no? I took a chance. Just go back to the video. Go back to the beginning. I clearly articulated that it was towards the end of my planned timeout on the first half of Hustle. And I said, I'll take a chance on Shipt again and see what happens. So I have found out what has happened so far, and I don't like it. Not at all. I don't like the feeling of exploitation. I don't like vituperative. That is your $10 word. Vituperative, which means abrasive and abusive. So I feel like this is an abusive experience. Yes. So we'll check it back again, and we'll see if there's any tip, if any. Who knows? Okay, so I checked the Shipt App a couple hours later, more so along the same lines as the second order, in which I got the pleasant surprise notification of a $20 tip. The app at this juncture states that I have earnings of $11.35, meaning 0 tip. Let's just say that obviously I am not surprised at this juncture, but also my feelings still have not changed. I feel a bit stiffed. I feel abused. I feel as if Shipt It will be used even less now, because this is more so along Postmates, my previous experience with Postmates, in which I saw tip maybe at best 40% of the time. I think Shipt It, for those who obviously have succeeded with Shipt It, good for you. But I don't see anything good about that app. I just don't. I've talked about already from this particular shopping experience, the use of the app. And I don't want to sound like I'm harping on the tips, because really I'm not in it. It's not about the tips, but at the same time, doing this type of work, tips is a big portion of what you make. So it is not so much as the largesse of people, it is it is out of the goodness of these people. It is out of their magnanimity, if you want to use those type of words. The goodness of their heart. They appreciate that people are bringing items to them, and they are doing the things that they would otherwise do: drive there, wait in line, and drive back. So obviously there is a need for this, and that's why folk like me have done what we've done for the past few years in the gig economy. And I am much appreciative because of what it has afforded me thus far. Okay, it's actually more than 3 hours since I completed that Shipt It order. And actually, I tried to do a couple of summaries in that time. But before I really decide on what I'm going to use for the clip, I figured that I would try to do a little bit of homework on Shipt.
In that research, there were a couple of sources that I used. One was actually Shipt It's website, and then there was this other online article. The Shipt It website said explicitly that there is no set time in which customers can tip the drivers. So it also says that customers don't have to tip until after the order is completed. Unlike with Instacart, where a customer can put in a tip beforehand, whatever that amount is, and also after shopping, after the order has been completed, Instacart shoppers can actually reduce the tip or increase the tip. But the other thing is about the transparency. That is the term that I've heard, is pay transparency. All you know with Shipt It is that there is this pay range of whatever dollars. It's seemingly the orders that I've accepted. One of the orders, the pay range was between $9 and $11, and with the other orders, it was between $11 and $13. I did see on a couple of occasions where orders are paid between $13 and $15. The driver goes into this thinking that, okay, if I accept the order between $11 and $13, and if it has X number of items based on their buying, based on probably their experience with Instacart, I should see a tip of X number of dollars, or that this order should pay. But that's not the case. In fact, as I have stated in the past, or at least as I've stated with the other video, what I found, or at least what I went into this, is that Shipt It you may find a tip 40% of the time at best, which reminds me of my Postmate experience. As I mentioned with Postmate, I've seen a couple of 1 cent tips, a couple of 2 cent tips. Now, why would you go into something wondering if at best you may be tipped 4 out of 10 times? Also, according to the sources that I researched, now this particular article tries to educate customers on how they should tip the drivers. The article said that customers should tip the driver 15 to 20% of the total. Now, depending on how big that order is, that could be a very nice tip. But in most cases, what I've seen with Instacart, customers may tip the driver a percentage, but in most cases, the customer is tipping the driver a flat dollar amount.
Well, from what I gather, Shipt is owned by Target. Yes, Target. And what I found out about Shipt is that there's a lot of mixed reviews about them. A lot of mixed reviews. Some people absolutely love it, and there are those who don't, and then there are those who are in between that don't really think much either way. Well, when I perused the app for the first time an hour ago, it said my pay was $11.35. $11.35. So that means there was no tip. Yes, I do feel that I got stiffed. I feel like I've been used and abused. And for me to talk about no tip is as if I'm some thirsty, when in fact I'm not a thirsty. Granted, I realize that what we do on these gig economy apps, much of what we make is because of the tips that customers give us. And for that, I'm extremely appreciative. I mean, I am beyond appreciative of what they do. What I have to say about Shipt isn't good, because what I have found out is that according to Shipt, there's no set time when a customer has to tip. They don't have to tip at all. In fact, all the tips are like that. But in the case of Shipt doesn't even make provision for a person to tip until after the order is completed. The other places, actually, you can put in a tip, like Instacart, beforehand, and then afterward, the tip may be adjusted because of the size of the order that was actually completed. Or in some cases, yes, the customer does reduce the tip. I've had it happen to me on a handful of occasions. But then I've had on some occasions where the customer increased the tip. But the one thing that was the one constant about Instacart was that at least you kind of knew beforehand, including tips, what you're likely to make, which makes it, I feel, in the gig economy, a fairer proposition than going into something and you may or may not. In fact, as I have stated at the beginning of this particular segment, which was hours ago, I said that I don't know. I may or may not be tipped. So I didn't go into this naive.
Now, admittedly, I should have considered it done with Shipt after this third order that resulted in 0 tip and a 3-star rating. I should have considered it done after that. But I tried it again 2 days later, September 13th. This order, as memory serves me correct, was at Kroger's. I don't remember the number of items. What I do recall was that the minimum pay range was between $11 and $13. Now, this order went longer than expected because it was Kroger. Here in the Columbia market, there are 4 Kroger locations. 3 of them are poorly maintained. And if you have to go to find items in the refrigerated and frozen sections, good luck, because those sections are often ransacked and decimated. And that was upon completion of the order, I saw where it was going to pay $11.53. But a couple hours later, I got a notification. Good job, you got a $5. Well, eventually after that, I saw my customer rating. It had dropped from 3.0 to 2.7, meaning that the customer gave me a 2-star. Now, that pushed my button, and I found a number to contact Shipt, and I spoke with someone for about 10-12 minutes. and I offered my insights, my observations, and my concerns about the Shipt App. The lady was very receptive to what I had to say, and she appreciated, or at least, she's trying to maybe she was trying to be good about this in a good professional sense, saying that she appreciated my input and all. But I pointed out to her about I had an issue with customers trashing drivers over substitutions and refunds. That's what it appeared to me. And then the app itself, how you're not able to scan things, and then also not able to contact customers, which all means that, hey, a lot of this stuff is on the driver. Now, she mentioned to me that Shipt had made some updates in its app, and that drivers should be able to contact customers without any issue. Now, I had gone into this thinking that, hey, I can try to work my way around this by, if there's a number to contact the person through the app, I can copy, paste that number and use my burner or Google phone apps to contact the customer and let them know or ask them, this item is not here. This is the situation. This is what's on the shelves. Is there anything that might work for you here? Or is there anything else that you would like? Now, I do make the honest effort at contacting customers, at least with Instacart, because the Instacart app allows me that opportunity. In fact, if for nothing else, the Instacart app does allow for that open communication between customer and driver or shopper, even if in the case that some customers drive you up the wall. There is not going to be another time with me with Shipt. After getting that 2-star and seeing that my rating was at 2.7, and when I found out that drivers must maintain at least a 3.0 rating, I was done with them. I was also done with the fact that I'm having to guess and wonder whether somebody's going to tip or not, which means that, hey, they're going to get away with basically free labor. And the fact that, hey, you may do a 35 item order on Shipt and you may get $11, $12, that's thirst money. And I ain't thirsty. I'm not gonna do that. So I uninstalled the Shipt app and I'm done with them. So there you have it. That's my final observations and thoughts and reactions with Shipt. Until next time, I'm Inwood Lane, and may your hustle continue. Thank you for checking out this segment of the Gig Geezer. If you like the content that's been provided, hey, hit that subscribe button and also give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or useful information that you'd like to pass on to the Gig Geezer, I can be reached at giggeezer3.5@gmail.com.